Okay.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Today's Restaurant News Networking Group. We are a group of vendors to the restaurant industry, and we are here to help each other and to help individual restaurants who might need some assistance in solving a problem that they might have. If you are one of those people and happen to be on our YouTube page, which is Today's Restaurant, please get in touch with us at 561-620-8888, and we'll happy to have you as a guest at the meeting. Today, we're going to have a presentation by Darin Gull of TRACI.net, which will happen in a couple of minutes. We're going to change up our format this week, and we're going to do our intros first so that people who may be watching us for the first time will know who we are. So what I'd like you all to do is to tell us who you are, what you do, and at the end, give us a way to contact you so that people can reach out to you. And I'm going to start with Lori.
Hello, Lori Morris, ARF Financial. I provide loans and lines of credit for restaurants. If you're looking to renovate, remodel, buy out a partner, just need working capital, you can find me at lmorris@arffinancial.com. Thank you.
Okay, the topic that I want to bring up later is somewhat affiliated to what you do. And it's, so if you all think about it, it's robotics, especially in light of this event that happened this week. And I'll give you some information about that later. John McCabe, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm John McCabe. I'm with Carpigiani. We're a large manufacturer of ice cream, gelato, and pastry equipment. We go to market by education. We have classes around the United States for making ice cream and gelato and pastry. And we'd love to be able to work with you on any new opportunities you have for increasing your dessert business, which can be very profitable in most restaurants. Have a great day. I can be reached at johnm@carpigiani-usa.com or 401-368-6406. Have a great day.
What's your booth at the Florida show, John? You know?
I don't have the number right now. I'm sorry.
Okay, but
you know what, Ed, I'm with Ed Burton, so I don't know if
okay,
you know his. So.
All right. John Mulholland, good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? Work for a company called Strategic Supply Chain, and what they do is save restaurant owners that spend $2 million on up each year on purchases, approximately 10 to 15% off their costs by buying the same exact product they're buying now. How they do that is they take a dollar descending report, shop it around to other distributors. We're not a distributor. Come back with the best offer and say, this is how much we can save you. Usually have them sign a 2 to 3 year agreement once all the principles are lined up. Take it from there and you do the math. If you're doing $2 million in purchasing a year, we save you 10%. That's $200,000 and really nothing changes in your process. Reaching me is easy. I'm all over the country, 678-362-7307. By far the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay, thank you. Debbie K, good morning.
Good morning, Debbie Krasuski. I'm with DK Consulting, and in the restaurant industry, I help match your value to your service. So I work with your managers, your supervisors, and employees to make sure that they're all strategically placed of what works best for them and what works best at optimal times during your restaurant hours. To make sure that they can make smart on-the-fly decisions, because it's all about knowing the right answers at the right times and making sure that your front of the house, the back of the house are in sync of what's going on and they can handle the volumes, and making sure that customers leave with a smile and come back. Debbie Krasuski, DK Consulting. You could reach out to me via text or call me. My number is 914-325-5445. You can also follow me on my website and social media. It's all the same, DEBBYKRUSC.com, and social media is at Debbie Cruz for
Okay,
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever.
thank you.
Thanks.
Jeremy, good morning.
Sorry. Good morning. All right. Jeremy Ben Israel with Essentropy Business Solutions. And I'm in the business to save businesses by helping business owners and decision makers lower their costs on everything from wireless, utilities, credit card processing fees, tax incentives, deductions. Also, I can help not just the employer, but their employees with flexible payment options. Restaurants are hurting, so I am helping them, and the hospitality sector as well. But I can work with any industry. Jeremy Ben Israel, best way to reach me, email or text 914-374-8345, or email jeremy@essentropy.com. That's ASCENTROPY.com. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. John Bunn.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Bunn with the BH Bunn Company. We manufacture the string tying machines that have been used in the bakery industry since the 1930s. And with the advent of plastic going away and no plastic bags and having to clamshells go to cardboard, our tying machines are a perfect way to bundle and use it to carry products out, whether it's a pizza box or a food box or what have you. We're located in Lakeland, Florida. We're all blessed, and our employees have been blessed to get through this storm without having any major problems. So we're happy for that. We're sorry for the other ones that are struggling with it. Several still have no power, and we're again blessed with not getting what the West Coast got. Our website is Buntyco. It's spelled BUNNTYCO.com. Our phone number is 863-647-1555, and we'd love to help you out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Terry, good morning.
Good morning, Terry with today's restaurant news. What I want to say to anyone watching on YouTube, if you were hit with this horrific storm, we're very sorry. We have a group of professionals here in this group that can help you rebuild your restaurant, your menus, your whatever you need done. They've been doing it for years and years. Give us a call, give Howard a call. We will set you up with the right people. It's a once in a lifetime thing, event that happened. I and my team work on lead reports. And what that means to you is if you are going to open a restaurant, please let us know. And if you're a vendor selling to a restaurant, we have an actual report that comes out monthly that will tell you where a restaurant is opening, about when, who the owner is, phone numbers and email addresses. And we work very hard all month to get that information to you. Comes in an Excel spreadsheet. I also want to mention that the FRLA show this year is November 2nd and 3rd. We have a booth. It's number 317 at the Royal Carib in Orlando. Hope to see everybody there. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Helen and Rob Gottesman. They are not vendors. They are quote unquote restaurateurs, but they do events, ice cream events, and they have been coming to our meetings on a regular basis because they've made some great connections. So Helen or Rob, you want to give us a quick what you do?
Okay. Delicious Spoonfuls is going to be an ice cream, coffee, and dessert bar focused on the employment of people with special needs, including but not limited to Down syndrome, autism, mental health issues, helping veterans. We're just looking to be there to help people that are seen as unemployable get jobs. And we will be hiring part-timers. And we're in the process of becoming a nonprofit, so we're looking for donations. We are currently a sponsored nonprofit. And Rob, what else?
Well, I just wanted to say that by next year, we will be permanent vendors in the brand new Publix KC Kosher, which hopefully will be late spring. And we connected last week with a company that does pop-ups. We will be in the early spring in the downtown area, right near the Fujian Gardens Mall as well. So, besides doing the regular events, we'll be more or less permanent vendors with them.
And we're also looking at enlarging from one cart to several in other communities with other families. And we're working on the details of how that would be done.
Okay. I guess that's up to me. I'm Howard Appel. I'm the founder and publisher of Today's Restaurant News. And we've been publishing since 1996. We bring you the news of the industry every month in our digital format at trnusa.com. I want to mention that in light of the hurricane that happened and the need for money for restaurants, even if your restaurant was wiped out, if you were in business in 2020 and 2021 and you paid your employees, you are entitled to apply for a employee retention tax credit, which will get you up to $26,000 per employee as a check in your hand. It's not a loan. This is a rebate. I am working with one client in particular, started out as a restaurant and it grew to other things. He's looking at a $7 million refund. So there's tons of money out there. Even if your business closed and you were open during those months and you paid, you can still get money back. And if you're interested in that, just contact us go to our website actually, and there's a big red tab on the top of the website. Click on that tab, fill out the form, and we'll have an associate give you a call to walk you through the process. Okay. Terry, would you call Peter, please?
Why? What do you want me to call him? No, we're being recorded. Never mind. Sorry about that. Yes.
Darren, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, the screen is yours.
Okay.
If you need it.
Yep. Let me just go ahead.
I'm going to introduce Darin Gull of TRACI.net, who is going to tell us all about what he does. Oh, I like that.
Got to get your logo up there too, Howard.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Darin Gull with TRACI.net. Most of you know me, but some of you don't know me as well as others. I've been a part of this group for a long time now. It's a strong group of people who bring expertise to the restaurant industry. The restaurant industry is just one industry that we touch into. So I'm going to talk a little more generally today about what TRACI.net does. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. See why it's not. There we go. So first off, I just want to do a little bit of getting to know Darren. Who is Darren? I've been married for 27 years to my best friend and the love of my wife, Deborah. I have two daughters, Stephanie and Catherine, who are in their 20s. One is out of college and in the work industry. The other is still finishing up college up at UCF. I am a graduate of FAU. I love hockey, and I played into my mid-40s until injuries finally took their toll, and I pay that price every day as I get out of bed as my body aches and hurts from all the injuries I've had of my sports career. I've always been kind of an entrepreneur. I started my first business up in North Dakota at age 9, doing lawn mowing and snow removal. So I actually bought my own equipment through proceeds I earned by starting to use my dad's lawnmower, and worked my way up from there to actually contracting with real estate companies in addition to just families around our neighborhood. I also was a professional magician and juggler and did that up through my college days before I actually entered the real workforce. So I did travel the Midwest doing shows and a lot of centennials throughout the Midwest back
You
in the
still
day.
do it?
I do not. The last time I actually performed was for my wife made me do a birthday party for my daughters. So that was probably about 6 years ago, 8 years, now more than that, probably 10 years ago was the last time I actually did
I
a
was
show.
going to hire you for tonight for Evan's party.
Yeah. The other thing is I was a semi-professional cyclist. So when I was in college, I interned with IBM. I started doing triathlons and found I could not swim. I swam like a boat anchor, but I was pretty good on a bicycle. And so I specialized in the bicycle and worked my way up, and actually was a very strong time trialist and et cetera in the cycling world. I now currently facilitate a suicide survivor group. I unfortunately lost a brother to suicide. It has made me a much better person. So it took his death, unfortunately, to help me become much more empathetic and outgoing. And now I help other people through that process of losing a loved one to suicide. I'm a high school robotics mentor. So what that means is I help kids build robots and program robots. So we have a team that's based out of St. Andrew's School in Boca Raton, but it's a community team. So for any kid in Palm Beach County, if you know a high school student who's interested in robotics, all aspects of it, from marketing to running social media, things like that, up to actually, designing in CAD and cutting out parts of a robot and assembling the robot and writing the code to make the robot do the challenges. So that is something I'm very passionate about and really have a lot of fun with the kids. Getting to know the company TRACI.net. That is my day. We are a leading cloud communication solution provider. And what does that mean is we help people take the aches and pains out of phone and internet services. We were founded in 1987. TRACI is actually an acronym. People ask, is it somebody's name? It's just an acronym for transmit, receive, and communicate information. And we came up with that back in 1987. And to this group, an interesting story, the acronym was actually come up with by Debbie Danto's husband, Craig. He was actually a part of TRACI.net back in that time. And he came up with the acronym for what TRACI stood for. We're headquartered in Deerfield Beach, Florida, and we have a commitment to amazing service. We have a 100% in-house support team. We work for the customers, not the carriers. There's a lot of people out there who are agents and just sell phone services and just turn it over to the different companies. Where TRACI.net is a little different, is we help you pick the right company. We represent all the different companies as well as our own platform. So we bring our experience and expertise so you don't have to figure it out on your own. Everything we do comes on our beliefs. We believe people start something to pursue something they're passionate about. Running a business is hard work, and anything that distracts you from your passion is an obstacle. Internet and phone services are essential to any business these days, and you just need them to work. So there are too many choices out there. It can be overwhelming to make a change, make a decision, and change is always painful. So anybody can help you guide through that process. It makes it much easier for the individual. So as we say, TRACI.net, we're the total solution. We'll guide you through the maze of the carriers and provide you the solution you need at the price you want to pay. Everybody remember this? It wasn't that long ago. That's what phones looked like. Now it's become much more of a communication tool. So not only is it a phone that you do voice, but you do texting, video, chat, email, and social media. So you have to really stay on top of all the different aspects of communications, and we'll help you to do that. What do we provide? Reliability. We have a very diverse portfolio. As I said earlier, we work with all the different carriers so we can help you find the right solution at a price within your budget. We do intelligent geographic redundancy. People with this having a hurricane just hit. So people who are customers on the west coast of Florida, their phones are still being answered because they're running out of data centers that aren't in West Florida. And if they were, happen something on the East Coast, we'd be rolling over to West Coast. And we have centers all throughout the United States to make sure that you're always up and running and your phone system is up and running. Even if you're down at your local thing, if you have cell service, we've also had people during hurricanes relocate to other areas, literally rent a conference room somewhere, move their employees up there and able to run their business just like they could from their main office. Tying into that, you can work from anywhere and everywhere. That's kind of what we sell, is you're not bound to a single location. As long as you have internet, you can have phone service, and that could be on your cell phone, your computer, or anything. So from a user experience, we want it to be simple, easy to use. We want to have customization tools so that it can be unique to your business. No two businesses are alike and no two phone systems are alike. It has to integrate to more than just basic phone services in today's world. And from a customer service standpoint, we are one of the few companies that is 100% in-house customer service. And even if we put you on another carrier, we still maintain tier 1 support. So you can call our guys, they answer the phone. You're not opening a ticket and then having it escalate to somebody else. You're talking to someone who can solve your problem on that first call. We're available, obviously, via phone, text, email, and even social media. We do monitor social media for people who reach out to us that way. So we build an internal culture that's based on helping customers succeed. So your success leads to our success. If our customers are successful, we're successful. Most of our business comes from word of mouth. So we spend an awful lot of time making sure our customers are happy. So we can help you experience true unified communication. This is just kind of giving you a screenshot of all the different areas of communication, from screen sharing. So like we're doing here, I'm sharing my screen. That's part of the services. Zoom is one of the products we represent. So we're using this, this is something we do sell. So if you know anybody looking for Zoom, they also have a voice platform that can integrate nicely with it. So you take your office anywhere. This is just showing, like I said, if your phones are down at the office, you can just open an app on your cell phone and be following right along. So the apps obviously have to work on all platforms, whether it be Windows, Mac, whether it be Android or iOS, we support them all. So we kind of put ourselves at the center of the communication. These are just a few of the companies that we work with. Another one that's not on there that we're growing rapidly with is a company called Dialpad. They have a really unique AI engine that can actually integrate and sense tones of conversations, how things are going, and et cetera, and literally route calls dependent on a customer being frustrated. So if you have an employee who's talking to someone and the sentiment gets hostile, or they say some words that are seen as negative, it can immediately alert a supervisor to step in and help out with that. And that's some pretty cool stuff that we have in our call center product. So I'll end quickly here saying TRACI.net, we want to be at the center of your solution, taking the stress out of your communications needs. That is my contact information. And that's it. I can go back to that. I just kind of swipe out that very quickly. So that is my contact information for anybody who's looking to reach out. And I'm going to take the screen share so I can see better. Rob, it looks like maybe you have your hand up. So I'm going to do it so I can see everybody. So hold on here. Now I can see you all again. Did you have a question, Rob?
Yeah. First of all, Darren, are you in East Boca, or where do you reside?
I actually live in Coconut Creek, but I know the East Boca area very well. And our business is actually in Deerfield Beach, right off of Hillsborough Boulevard, just east of 95.
Okay, I have a great referral, but it's actually me, and I've got tremendous contact. One of the things that Helen and I didn't mention in the intro, we have a profit business called Amazing Abilities. And
okay.
It's based on our radio show, Amazing Abilities. And what we're doing is giving families the necessary resources, people with disabilities, veterans, so that they can make short and long-term decisions for the future, dealing with employment, housing, and a bunch of other things. You mentioned robotics. I don't know if you're aware that there are actually robots that are programmed to teach children with autism communication skills and a whole bunch of all kinds of practical and adaptable skills as well. The robots are not cheap; they're very expensive. I can't remember one company name, but anyway, I need to connect with you because, and I know it's inappropriate right now, but But I was really fascinated by that. You also mentioned, fortunately, suicide.
Yes.
It's a long story, but
Book another time.
I could get myself in trouble if I told you that we have a cure for it, and I don't want to have to go into that. So I'll have to connect
Separate
with you some other
conversation.
time on it.
Yeah, reach out to me off this call, and we'll definitely follow up on that. Those both sound very interesting and something I'd be very interested in speaking with you about.
Right, right.
You know, thank you, Darren. That was great. Anybody else have any more questions for Darren? I know Darren is great with all these technical companies and what he does. You just tell him what your conditions are and he'll find a solution for it.
And that's a big part of it, is that it can be overwhelming to go find something on your own. And a prime example is I was on the phone with a gentleman yesterday who had reached out and was trying to, get some pricing on some different things. And fortunately, he called us before he made a decision. He came back with what he was looking at. And the platform he was looking at is exactly where I would have put him, but he was paying about 30% more than he should have been. So we stepped in, got the deal under our name, and helped him negotiate it, got it down where he's saving 30% a month on the exact same solution he was looking for. So those are the types of things we do. We know what the rate should be, and particularly for small businesses, none of the carriers are going to give you their best rate up front. If you come in and say, hey, I've got 500 employees, yeah, you're going to get a pretty good price. But if you come in and say, I've got 2 or 3 employees, you're going to be paying full retail. So those are the types of things we can help with. And there's a lot of small businesses that are overpaying. I always say, if you haven't looked at your phone or internet bill in 3 years, you are most likely overpaying. And regardless of carrier, including ourselves, you got to reach out and talk to companies. No one's going to call you and say, hey, I want to lower your rate. You're going to have to initiate the conversation, and that's the type of thing. And sometimes it takes getting a quote from another carrier, say, hey, we're going to be leaving. Here's where we're going to. What can you do to help us? And those are the types of things we can help you through. So again, Darin Gull, TRACI.net. Our website is our name, TRACI.net. And my direct line is 954-360-4311 for anybody who wants to reach me.
Great, thank you. I see Peter, you want to tell us who you are, what you do?
Good morning, everyone. Peter Robinson, Hudson Robinson Business Brokerage. I've been a business broker for almost 20 years. I work with buyers and sellers. What I do is when a seller wants to get a value of their business, they provide me their tax returns, their financial statements, and I review them, and we come up with the seller's discretionary expenditures and then a multiple of what their business is worth. I will also do a market analysis to determine how the market looks at their business. I am located in Boca, but I do work throughout the state of Florida.
Okay, do we get everybody? Okay, we just went through this catastrophic hurricane, and there were people who were affected in various different ways. The people on the West Coast, closest to the water, a lot of the restaurants have been wiped out. They're not there anymore. Some have been damaged. And Darren touched on one of the things that I think is going to become very prevalent in a lot of industries, but especially in the restaurant industry, is the robotics field. Darren and I and Terry were at a summit a couple of weeks ago, and there were robots running around the floor all over the place. Robots who are being used as delivery for food, busboys, and Lori is here. She can do the financing for robots. But the reason I'm bringing that up is I had a conversation this week. Somebody who called, who is an MIT graduate. He worked at NASA. He worked on the Mars rover project. and he has a school in Miami called Dr. Robot, and he teaches kids how to build robots. And what he said was that this isn't not the robots that you see that are remote controlled kind of things. He's more in depth on that. In that, I don't know whether, I think Darren, you should get his contact information and talk to him. He's a great, very bright guy in that field. I invited him to come. He couldn't make it today. Hopefully he may come next week. He's been in the robotics field since 1990. He had a store in Rochester, New York. So he's very, very experienced in that. And I want to get your idea. What's your thoughts on robotics now, especially after this event and in Florida? I see robotics going to expand tenfold because it's going to be cheaper to put a robot on the floor than hire somebody to be a runner or a busboy. Any thoughts, any comments?
Howard, you touched on something just a little while ago about, the fact that in Naples and that whole West Coast, how restaurants were wiped out and things. And I was just thinking just a minute ago, I wish there was some way to help those people recover or at least, operate, efficiently. And maybe it's possible. I know this is a crazy idea. If they had some sort of a robot or something, maybe to somehow deliver food or whatever it is to different customers somehow. I know it sounds outrageous, but some creative out of the box kind of mechanism so that they wouldn't, so maybe perhaps they could somehow stay in business, but in a different type of direction. I mean, I know it sounds strange, but
Well, the conditions that we have now on the West Coast are going to be around for a long time. And I'm sure that there will be discussions and many companies exhibiting at the Florida Restaurant Show, November 2nd and 3rd. So that conversation probably in some form or fashion will come up to enhance the robots in the industry. But I think that robotics in general are going to become more prevalent throughout the industry, not just in Florida. I think all over the place, because you can replace a $15 an hour person with a robot that you may be leasing for 3 years for $100 a month.
Those robots will be walking around the convention, by the way. The show, they will have the robots walking around, just so you know. You'll run into them at the aisles.
I think, Howard, to your point, I don't think you're going to see as much of robots replacing people as supplementing people. There's a shortfall of workers in the restaurant industry right now. So it's not that they're looking to replace people with robots. They're looking to have better customer coverage. We were down in Homestead actually for a robotic competition last Saturday. And we went to the Outback to have dinner, a group of us from the team. And it was late, it was, like around 9 o'clock by the time we got there. And they had a wait list of people to get in at 9 o'clock PM. And the restaurant looked empty, and we're like, there's a million tables. What's going on? He's like, I only have 2 servers. So it really came down to the fact that they need that supplement. And that's where a robot could help because, a server can only do so much. If he's got a robot that can wheel out and deliver the food, he, instead of having to go back to the kitchen, grab it, carry it out, he just meets the robot, grabs the food off the robot and sets it down. So automation is here to stay, whether we like it or not. And any task that can be automated helps enhance a business. It doesn't hinder it. And, everybody's always like, we can't replace humans with robots, but you're not replacing them. You're just kind of reshifting that workforce a little bit more to make it more efficient by using technology is kind of the way I see it.
Yeah, and that goes to the problem of staffing. There's a huge problem of staffing, and it's getting worse, not getting better. We had a great conversation here a couple of weeks ago with the the effects of drugs, alcohol, and suicide on our industry in particular. And this industry is a very high percentage of people in the industry suffering from alcohol and drug. And Darren knows this company that I'm going to mention. Ben's friends. I made contact with the gentleman from the company, and he would be happy to come in and talk, not talk about suicide, but talk about the alcohol and drug problem in the industry and what they're doing to try to get more people out of it and get more people back to work. So is that something that you guys would be interested in hearing more about at a combined meeting, let's say on the 14th of October at 10 o'clock? I'll put it in the email, but it's something that I'm talking with him about.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Okay,
I
I'll try to set
Can I
it
say
up.
something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to figure out why the restaurant industry seems to attract so many people with these problems that are into the drugs and the alcohol. And I mean, some of them are great chefs, but it
Because-
seems to be rampant in the industry.
Well, when you work in a kitchen of a high volume restaurant,
I know the stress, that's how some people deal with it.
yeah,
So the
I
la-
deal with it by drinking too much coffee, but it's,
I don't
more
have an
socially
answer.
acceptable.
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know.
In
I
working
think-
in restaurants, I mean, there's that high and the low. So the high is also a drug. It's the adrenaline run. You can't think about anything else. And the lows are really low. And then you have alcohol that's completely accessible. And once upon a time, it was very acceptable to be drinking while you were working.
Right.
And then you bring in drugs. A lot of these people live cash to cash and, check to check. Checks are lower than your cash flow. It's very easy to get drugs, to get low end drugs. And, that's unfortunately what runs through it. It just breeds that type of a person. It's sad, but, there's ways around, fighting that and doing things like we just said, bringing people in of how to help people in these industry, help people in the industry and to make sure that they're getting the proper help, paying attention to your employees. I had worked at a very high profile beach place right on the water. And it also is well known as young adults of this is a really great place where I could score drugs and I can make a lot of cash. So I can get high, I could work, and then I can walk away with, these people were walking away with $3,000 in cash every week. So to stay in that and keep up your party lifestyle and, you have all your friends going there. I mean, that is just, that's an attraction, and it's disgustingly sad, but that is the truth.
In when Helen and I worked in Ramona's, there was a cook in the back. He had mental health issues. He was loud, he was abusive, but he was a fantastic chef and a great worker. When you didn't interact with him too much, everything would be all right. But when they're focused, they seem to do an exceptional job. And Howard mentioned just a minute ago that there's a shortage of workers in the industry, and Terry and Howard had gone to that show, and we're told that immigrants are an aspect. Also, like I said last week, veterans are. I spoke to the CEO I know of the Florida Association for Veterans, and he says there's literally hundreds of veterans around the state that are looking for work because they have either post-traumatic stress or some other deficient illness, and all they want to do is work and be sufficient. Also, people with disabilities. So there's a lot out there, and it's just a matter of accommodating them and coaching them and redirecting them so that they can be effective in what they're doing.
There's a lot of people out there willing to work, but they have to be able to deal with the environment of working in a restaurant. Some of them, like you said, have service-related mental problems. There are those who or already involved in some sort of alcohol or drug abuse.
Right.
And the pay rate is also not a sustainable pay rate for somebody who's got a family and they're the only breadwinner.
Right.
So it's the industry in general has a lot of problems that have to be solved in the future to bring people into it and not drag them in, so to speak. I want them to come in happily to try and work.
Also, the restaurants around the country. Last week, I was talking to a lady and dealing with somehow more or less the way we're going to promote our business. And I turned around to her. She was in Chicago, and I turned around to her and I said, I'll bet you in your state, there's a restaurant that employs people with disabilities. And I looked it up while I was talking to her, and sure enough, there was in Arlington, right near where she worked in Chicago. And all of a sudden, you have so many of these restaurants with people that are employing people with disabilities. And you ask yourself, why? And at the same time, I'm sure, there's a tremendous demand out there for various, types of people. But what you were saying, yes, there has to be accommodation. They have to be able to tolerate it. There needs to be training appropriately. It doesn't work for everybody, but there is a number out there that are capable of working in these types of environments.
Well, as you know, that if you employ people with disabilities, you get a government tax write-off, a tax
Correct.
credit, or $9,000 for the year or something like that. So that's
More
an incentive. That's an
like
incentive
stay
to
at least
hire
6
people
months.
like that.
Right. It's higher with veterans. I don't know what the figures are. I had it listed, but it's higher with veterans. So, there's more of an incentive that way. But again, it's not for every restaurant. And,
it's not only people with disabilities. How about the people who are seniors who are in perfect good health and they still want to work after
Right.
65? There's a whole market out there of people who can do that.
Well, in any field, when you're older, people look at you like, she's old, forget it. I'll get some young person to do the job. They don't want to deal with somebody with, past 60.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is there's a stigma, or not a stigma, but an assumed that the restaurant industry is very transient. It's really meant as like a starter job for someone who's looking to get their first job versus someone who's looking to make a career out of it.
Right.
And
Exactly.
until that culture changes, to where it's seen as this is a viable career, you're always going to attract the transient people, whether that be people who are, can't keep a steady job, but they can go, from one restaurant to another and, just, kind of work their way around to, a more stable wait staff and et cetera. And also it's how, also I think some of it has to do with how restaurateurs treat that portion of the staff. They treat their chefs very well because that the view is their bread and butter, but they'll treat like a hostess and a waiter waitress as someone that, well, anybody can do that job. And so if that doesn't work out, I'll just hire somebody else. So it's really investing in people and treating your staff as people and not just as a position that I think would also help with being a more stable workforce in the industry.
That's exactly what I was going to say, but you said it so much better. And that's where Debbie comes in. That's where Debbie comes in to teach them how to do that. Because they don't know how to, the owners don't know how to do it. They just want somebody on the floor, anybody can walk in and do it. And like you said, that's where you start. Well, yes, but you still have to know how to do it and interact with people who are going to come in and scream at you because their meal is late, it isn't right, and you break down and start crying and walk out because you don't know how to deal with anything, or you scream back at them and then you get in more trouble. So whatever, but it's exactly, you hit the nail on the head. Exactly.
Terry, what you were saying is 100% true, because there are a lot of restaurant people out there that say, all right, well, if you can do the job, that's great. I'll hire you. That's it. Chris said something a few weeks ago, I think, when he was saying that we have to think out of the box. There needs to be more creative ingenuity within the restaurant business, something.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that conversation very well because of his background.
Right.
Exactly, exactly. And that was said very well. That was very, we can go back to that clip on, and he did, that's exactly right.
Anyway, well, I want to thank you all for coming today. These problems that we're talking about are not going to go away. They'll be here for a while. If you have some discussion thoughts about it, I'm sure it'll come up again. Have a great weekend. We'll see you all next week. One other thing is I'm going to send everybody who is a member of the group a copy of our newest ad that will appear in the October issue. It's reformatted. You have to be a member to be included in the ad. So please, if you haven't done so, take care of your fourth quarter dues, and we'll see you next week. And I will try to set up the 14th of October for a 10 a.m. meeting. Take care, everybody.